The National Electrical Code, specifically Article 514 Fuel Storage and Dispensing, provides guidelines for the installation of fuel storage tanks. One important rule addresses the placement of these tanks relative to electric supply lines. Fuel storage tanks with a capacity of 60 gallons or less are permitted to be located beneath and not more than 18 inches from electric supply lines, provided there is at least 12 inches of vertical clearance between the top of the tank and the electric supply line. This means that a small fuel tank can be situated relatively close to overhead power lines if it meets specific requirements for capacity, proximity, and vertical separation. Other articles within the NEC also have a bearing on this topic. Article 230 Services addresses overhead service drops or laterals, stating that they should not be attached to the exterior of buildings or structures or pass through holes in walls. This is relevant because the placement of service drops and laterals influences the overall electrical environment around fuel storage areas. Article 400 Wiring Methods specifies that electrical wires and cables shall not be installed within the volume surrounding the tanks defined by the height and width of the tank and a distance of 5 feet from the tank walls. This creates a safety zone around the fuel tank, minimizing the risk of electrical hazards in close proximity to the stored fuel. Article 550 Mobile Homes dictates that fuel storage and dispensing systems shall not be installed beneath overhead power lines. This is a clear prohibition aimed at preventing potential hazards in mobile home settings. Beyond the NEC, local and state regulations often impose additional restrictions. It is crucial to be aware of these local requirements, as they can be more stringent than the national code. For instance, some jurisdictions might prohibit the installation of any combustible items underneath overhead power lines, regardless of capacity. This is a blanket restriction that simplifies enforcement and minimizes risk. Other jurisdictions might require a minimum distance between the fuel tank and overhead power lines. This distance could be greater than the 12 inches specified in the NEC for small tanks, depending on local conditions and safety assessments. Furthermore, some local regulations mandate specific safeguards such as grounding or bonding. Grounding and bonding are essential for minimizing the risk of electrical shock and preventing the buildup of static electricity, which could ignite flammable vapors. The reasons for these restrictions are rooted in safety. They are designed to prevent hazards such as, firstly, fires or explosions caused by electrical arcing or lightning strikes, secondly, electrocution from contact with exposed electrical wires, and thirdly, interference with electrical service due to the presence of combustible materials. Electrical arcing can occur when electricity jumps between conductors, creating intense heat that can ignite flammable liquid. Lightning strikes can also pose a significant fire hazard, especially if fuel tanks are not properly grounded. Contact with exposed electrical wires can result in electrocution, posing a serious threat to anyone working near the fuel storage area. The presence of combustible materials can also interfere with electrical service by creating a pathway for electricity to leak or arc, potentially causing equipment damage or power outages. It is always recommended to consult with local authorities and qualified electrical contractors to ensure compliance with all applicable regulations and safety standards. Local authorities can provide information about specific requirements in a given area, while electrical contractors can assess the site and ensure that the installation meets all relevant codes and standards. The NEC is updated regularly to reflect changes in technology and best practices. It is essential to stay current with the latest edition of the code to ensure that installations meet the most up-to-date safety standards. The NEC provides detailed specifications for wiring, grounding, bonding, and other electrical components. Following these specifications is crucial for minimizing the risk of electrical hazards. Fuel storage tanks should be inspected regularly for leaks, corrosion, and other signs of damage. Any problems should be addressed promptly to prevent potential hazards. Proper ventilation is essential for preventing the buildup of flammable vapors around fuel storage tanks. Ventilation systems should be designed to effectively remove vapors and reduce the risk of fire or explosion. Fire suppression systems such as fire extinguishers or automatic sprinkler systems should be installed in areas where fuel is stored. These systems can help to control or extinguish fires quickly, minimizing damage and preventing injuries. Emergency shut-off switches should be installed near fuel storage areas. These switches allow for the rapid shutdown of fuel pumps and other equipment in the event of an emergency. Employees who work with fuel storage tanks should be trained in proper safety procedures. Training should cover topics such as spill prevention, fire safety, and emergency response. Warning signs should be posted in areas where fuel is stored. These signs should clearly identify the hazards and provide instructions for safe operation. Fuel storage tanks should be located away from ignition sources, such as open flames, sparks, and hot surfaces. This helps to prevent accidental ignition of flammable vapors. Smoking should be prohibited in areas where fuel is stored. Smoking is a major cause of fires and explosions in fuel storage areas. Flammable liquids should be stored in approved containers. Approved containers are designed to prevent leaks and spills. Spills should be cleaned up immediately. Spills can create slip hazards and increase the risk of fire or explosion. The NEC provides specific requirements for the grounding and bonding of fuel storage tanks and associated equipment. Grounding and bonding are essential for preventing electrical shock and minimizing the risk of fire or explosion. All electrical equipment in fuel storage areas should be properly maintained. Regular maintenance helps to prevent equipment failures that could lead to electrical hazards. The NEC specifies the types of wiring methods that are permitted in fuel storage areas. These wiring methods are designed to minimize the risk of fire and explosion. The NEC provides requirements for the installation of lighting in fuel storage areas. Lighting should be designed to provide adequate illumination without creating a fire hazard. The NEC specifies the types of electrical equipment that are permitted in hazardous locations such as fuel storage areas. Equipment that is approved for use in hazardous locations is designed to prevent ignition of flammable vapors. The NEC provides requirements for the installation of ventilation systems in fuel storage areas. Ventilation systems should be designed to effectively remove flammable vapors and reduce the risk of fire or explosion. The NEC specifies the types of fire suppression systems that are permitted in fuel storage areas. Fire suppression systems should be designed to quickly control or extinguish fires. The NEC provides requirements for the installation of emergency shut-off switches in fuel storage areas. Emergency shut-off switches should be easily accessible and clearly labeled. The NEC specifies the types of warning signs that are required in fuel storage areas. Warning signs should clearly identify the hazards and provide instructions for safe operation. The NEC provides requirements for the training of employees who work with fuel storage tanks. Training should cover topics such as spill prevention, fire safety, and emergency response. The NEC specifies the types of containers that are permitted for the storage of flammable liquids. Approved containers are designed to prevent leaks and spills. The NEC provides requirements for the cleanup of spills in fuel storage areas. Spills should be cleaned up immediately to prevent slip hazards and reduce the risk of fire or explosion. The NEC specifies the requirements for the inspection and maintenance of fuel storage tanks and associated equipment. Regular inspections and maintenance can help to prevent equipment failures and ensure safe operation. The NEC provides guidance on the selection and installation of electrical equipment in fuel storage areas, focusing on minimizing the risk of ignition in potentially hazardous atmospheres. It outlines specific requirements for intrinsically safe circuits, explosion-proof enclosures, and other protective measures. The proper selection of cables and wiring methods in fuel storage areas is crucial to prevent electrical faults that could ignite flammable vapors. The NEC specifies the types of cables and wiring methods that are suitable for use in these areas, taking into account factors such as temperature, chemical exposure, and physical protection. Proper grounding and bonding of fuel storage tanks, piping, and electrical equipment is essential to prevent the buildup of static electricity and minimize the risk of electrical shock. The NEC provides detailed requirements for grounding and bonding systems, including the size and type of conductors, the location of ground rods, and the methods for connecting equipment to the grounding system. The NEC addresses the need for proper ventilation in fuel storage areas to prevent the accumulation of flammable vapors. It provides guidelines for the design and installation of ventilation systems, including the air exchange rate, the location of air intakes and exhausts, and the use of explosion-proof fans and motors. The NEC requires the installation of emergency shut-off switches at strategic locations in fuel storage areas to allow for the rapid shutdown of fuel dispensing equipment in the event of a fire, spill, or other emergency. These switches must be easily accessible and clearly labeled. Regular inspections and maintenance of electrical equipment in fuel storage areas are essential to identify and correct any potential hazards. The NEC recommends a schedule for inspections and maintenance, and it provides guidelines for the types of inspections that should be performed. Fuel storage areas should be clearly marked with warning signs that indicate the presence of flammable liquids and the potential for fire or explosion. The NEC specifies the types of signs that are required and the information that they must contain. The NEC emphasizes the importance of training personnel who work in fuel storage areas in proper safety procedures, including spill prevention, fire suppression, and emergency response. It recommends that training be conducted on a regular basis and that it be documented.